it's remarkable in the Parnas text that we got in his interview with Rachel was, I mean, two things. One is how intent Zelensky was on that inaugural of the delegation to the inauguration. Yeah. I mean, we've focused a lot on the aid for understandable reasons, but Parnas says that who showed up to the inauguration was in some ways a bigger deal. It was going to be like the first thing they did to show the backing of the U.S. as Zelensky tried to essentially start negotiations with Russia. And when they don't listen to Parnas' message that you need to open an investigation, Pence gets yanked. How big a deal is that? How much does that reverberate over there to Zelensky?
Well, I think Parnas really makes that point for us, right? Because he's saying that it was so important for the Ukrainians to have this ceremony, this pomp, this sort of presentation of support of the world's biggest superpower standing behind Ukraine. Because you've got to understand that Ukraine's been in a war with Russia for the last 4 or 5 years at the point that Zelensky is elected. And the Ukrainians are out there listening for signals from the United States, just like the Russians are out there listening for signals from the United States about whether that support is flagging, weakening, or remaining strong. And so the Ukrainians want to be able to show, I think the Russians primarily, that they have this steadfast support, and that's something that just didn't materialize at all because of this quid pro quo that was, playing out behind the scenes. There was the quid, but there wasn't the quo.
Right. Well, and in some ways, everyone is sort of playing other people. I mean, one really fascinating element of the stuff we've gotten from the text messages of Parnas is this character, Lutsenko, who's a fascinating character. There's a great New Yorker profile. He's sort of a hero of one of the sort of revolutions and civic uprising, and then he kind of does a heel turn as he's kind of co-opted by the system. He's viewed as corrupt. He's the one who's basically making a quid pro quo demand.
He's a very compromised figure in Ukraine. Ukrainians know that you really can't believe a word of what Lutsenko is saying. But unfortunately, Americans have been dealing with him for a much shorter period of time. And so a lot of people, especially those who want to believe what he's saying, just take his word as gospel.
Well, that's what's happening. He is basically promising Parnas, Giuliani, and the president dirt on Biden. If and only if they get rid of the U.S. ambassador. And when it's not happening, he's getting frustrated. He says, and here you can't even get rid of one fool. Frowny face emoji. Parnas, she's not a simple fool, trust me, but she's not getting away. Like, what? Explain the context of how much he hates the U.S. ambassador and wants to get rid of her.
And that's some of the more vanilla stuff that he said in those text messages, because he was using a lot of swear words as well, which we can't say on TV. But I think the thing for Lutsenko was that the ambassador, Yovanovitch, she was, in line with the longstanding U.S. policy, trying to reform the justice system in Ukraine. And he was the head of the prosecutor's office, so he sort of was the target of some of her ire. And she did a speech in March where she publicly called for the dismissal of one of his subordinates, saying that they were corrupt. And
I mean, that's really calling the guy on the carpet.
And it really made him angry. And this is why he wanted to get rid of her. And I think out of this whole thing, that's the scariest thing for me, is that there's got to be authoritarians or corrupt officials all around the world taking note here and realizing that all it takes to get rid of an inconvenient ambassador or an inconvenient U.S. official of some kind who's going against your policy and your interests is you need to spread rumors to Donald Trump's supporters, and he'll do it for you.
That's an incredible lesson. If you dangle that you have dirt, you can get anything. Simon Ostrowski, thank you so much for your time. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.